Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatarani. So can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So I'm just sitting here looking at, just a moment. I'm just sitting here looking at Srila Prabhupada there in Melbourne and remembering how I grew up in Melbourne. I didn't have any particular spiritual inclination when I was growing up there. And when I reached a certain point of maturity, I left Melbourne to join the greater, more exciting world. I still didn't have any spiritual understanding, and I had a plan where I was going to go with my life. And part of that plan was to go to Los Angeles and become a famous movie star. And it was there, not in Melbourne, not in Australia, but it was there in Los Angeles by the kindness of some devotees and their encouragement that I actually met Srila Prabhupada. And it was like a night and day change in my life. I was just reading about Srila Prabhupada in San Francisco, which was in 1967 and 68, I think. And this was 2 years later. In San Francisco, Srila Prabhupada was dealing with all sorts of deranged individuals and giving them some kind of an understanding beyond their comprehension, of course, that life had a purpose and that life was meant to be purified. And he showed us the example of completely not being affected by the madness or the dirtiness or the stupidity or the cultural differences between himself and his audience, who clearly couldn't understand anything that he was saying. And the one thing that he kept telling them was, it doesn't matter what tune you sing, it doesn't matter how you dress, it doesn't matter what you believe, it doesn't matter about anything that you're doing in your life at all. The only thing that matters is that you chant this Hare Krishna mantra. He explained that presently we are existing on the mental level and also on the intellectual level. But the chanting of the mantra, Hare Krishna mantra, would bring one above the mental level and above the intellectual level. And he pointed out that all our problems and all our suffering exists on the mental and intellectual levels. And he was encouraging those who crawled into the temple or who were serving in the temple, working against all kinds of inconveniences, and anyone that he met under the most unusual circumstances, simply just accept the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. And those who became a little reformed or more reformed or capable of management and organization and dedication and practice, then he put great responsibility onto them to continue to keep open these centers which were meant for the reformation of the world. So if you spend time on the internet, if you spend time reading the news, if you spend time keeping in touch with how the world is going right now, you'll definitely have to come in touch with the fact that there's so much insanity currently still present in the world. And his message to us, it remains the same. He doesn't change it, even though he is passing it on through his disciplic line of others, those who have accepted him and taken up his blessings, his message remains the same: to develop your own Krishna consciousness, to understand Krishna as much as possible, and then to give Krishna to as many people as possible, give it to others. So today is our day of remembering that and reflecting on how everything in our lives that genuinely makes us happy has a touch or it has its direct origin in Srila Prabhupada. So I just felt honored to be invited to be with you this morning, and looking at Srila Prabhupada sitting there on his Vyasa Sun, I feel very encouraged and fortified to go on with our service here in Perth. And I miss very much seeing Radha Balava and all our friends in Melbourne, but I'm hoping and praying that it will not be too long before somehow or another we're together again. And in the meantime, my very best wishes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Trini. Thanks for joining us here in Melbourne, a couple of hours earlier in Perth. And you've also got your program to attend later on today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, what I might do is read the meaning of the Vyasa Puja. I've got the Vyasa Puja book here for this year, so we'll stick to our usual schedule. And at the moment we've got 27 attendees, so we're still waiting for more to join. In the modern era, Vyasa Puja as a celebration began in 1924 on the 50th appearance day of Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. He inaugurated the event for the benefit of his disciples, wanting to give them access to the lineage through glorification of its current preceptor, him. In establishing this ceremony, of course, he was not canvassing people to worship him as opposed to others, nor was he doing so for his own pleasure. Rather, he taught that Vyasa Puja is the worship of all Gaudiya Vaishnava-acharyas through the exaltation of one's own guru. In the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, all members recognise His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the Founder-Acharya of the institution, as their preeminent Siksha Guru, and thus on his appearance day each year, we worship the entire Parampara through its most prominent modern representative. Vyasa Puja is a meditation on how Srila Prabhupada is a representative of Vyasadeva. For just as Vyasadeva gave us a transcendental knowledge through Vedic texts and through conveying the process of how to practically apply these teachings, so Srila Prabhupada carried on in that tradition by giving his disciples the same transcendental message, both with traditional expression and in new language suitable for the modern era. But to truly honour Srila Prabhupada, to make the most of the Vyasa Puja ceremony, one must acquaint oneself with Guru Tattva and how it applies to ultimate divinity. The veneration of Srila Prabhupada deepens when we learn to appreciate Balaram Nityananda Tattva, the archetypal recipients of Vyasa Puja worship. Balaram, as his name indicates, gives spiritual strength to the devotees. This is the power that allows practitioners to overcome obstacles on the devotional path. And that is the nature of the true Guru. He helps his disciples overcome all impediments on the spiritual path For this reason, among others, Balaram is considered the original spiritual master. What are the obstacles on the devotional path? As Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur teaches us, the demons killed by Krishna and Balaram represent various anarthas, or bad habits and qualities. But the demons killed by Balaram are particularly significant in terms of Guru Tattva. Dhanukasura, for example, is the symbol of ignorance, or the disavowal of truth. And Pralambasura embodies licentiousness, selfish desire, or the thirst for personal gain, worship and honour. Lord Balaram, no doubt, killed many other demons as well, such as Dvidvida, Gorilla, Balvala, and the wrestlers in Kamsa's wrestling arena. But in the current context, Dhanuka and Pralamba may be singled out. Dhanuka, who again is ignorance personified, is in many ways the arch enemy of the devotee, for transcendental knowledge is required to make progress. But the spiritual master destroys this demon's capacity for success, lightening the burden for a sincere practitioner. Pralamba, for his part, represents lusting after another living being for one's own sensual pleasure, greed, and the desire for worship and position. It all begins with a desire for sense gratification, as Srila Prabhupada so clearly taught us. That's why, among all vows, Brahmacharya, not just as a formal ashram, but as a particular mindset of veering away from sense gratification, is called the Brihad Vrata, or the Great Vow. Why is it the Great Vow? What does it ask us to refrain from? It is not just avoidance of sexual activity as such. It has more subtle implications, including the thought of sex, praising it, toying with the idea of it, watching it from afar, secretly speaking of it, intending it, pursuing it, and delighting in its various permutations. Any of these 8 indicates the opposite of Brahmacharya. But it goes even further. The perfection of Brahmacharya is ultimately realized when one completely transcends the desire to enjoy separately from Krishna. At that stage, far from being allured, one is completely repulsed by the degrading titillation previously derived from falsely thinking oneself the centre of the universe. Vyasa Puja is a celebration of moving beyond such an exploitative mentality, of gradually evolving into true transcendence, assisting Srila Prabhupada both here and in the beautiful land of dedication, Vaikuntha. In that transcendental realm, Balaram is said to sing the endless glories of Lord Krishna with thousands of mouths, and expands his personal form to serve as Lord Krishna's paraphernalia, in the form of such items as his umbrella, slippers, bedding, pillow, garments, resting chair, residence, Gayatri thread, and throne. Such all-pervasive service can come only from the ideal guru, the perfect servitor. Our life should similarly become the epitome of service, and we learn this from Balaram, extended to us through Srila Prabhupada. Lord Balaram's service reaches its pinnacle in his form as Nityananda Prabhu, wherein he taught Jagai and Madai the error of their ways. They became great devotees by his grace. Thus, he acts as guru, saving the most fallen of souls, just as our own beloved Srila Prabhupada did in saving the countless Jagais and Madais of the current age. Vyasa Puja is the time to remember this and to thus recommit to renew our vow to be real disciples. Meditating on Balaram Nityananda Tattva is thus a sure way to appreciate the depths of Vyasa Puja, for through them and their foremost modern representative, Srila Prabhupada, we learn how to really serve Krishna with heart and soul. In our various Vyasa Puja offerings then, we glorify Srila Prabhupada in his many accomplishments, reminding ourselves of his deep connection to Vyasa, Balaram, and Nityananda Prabhu, loving spiritual servitors par excellence. But who serves Krishna best? Srila Prabhupada has taught us what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed and exemplified, that Srimati Radhika is unparalleled in her devotion. In her mood of loving Krishna, even if her level of consummate love is unreachable by any other living being, she is the embodiment of Krishna's pleasure potency, Ladini Shakti, and those who serve her, that is to say, those who serve Srila Prabhupada, who serves her, can assist in her incomparable pleasure-giving project. Her very name, Radha, is derived from the Sanskrit Aradhana, which means worship, and Srila Prabhupada usually called her Radharani, for she is the queen, Rani of such worship. Her name implies that her love for Krishna is unsurpassed. Srila Prabhupada gave us the foremost of Gaudiya texts, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which teaches that although Krishna is so beautiful that he can attract millions of cupids and is therefore called Madana Mohan, the attractor of Cupid, Srimati Radharani can attract even Krishna. She is therefore called Madana Mohana Mohini, the attractor of Cupid. As Srila Prabhupada said, if we approach Krishna through Srimati Radharani, through her mercy, then it becomes very easy. If Radharani recommends this devotee is very nice, then Krishna immediately accepts, however a fool I may be. Because it is recommended by Radharani, Krishna accepts. This is the great secret of Guru Tattva, and thus of Vyasa Puja. If we see Srila Prabhupada for who he really is, a manifestation of Radha herself, the one who pleases Krishna most, our celebration of Vyasa Puja will deepen in meaning. Along these lines, Srila Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, has written as follows. Guru Tattva is indeed a manifestation of Krishna, but one must understand the spiritual master to be a manifestation of the supreme worshipper, Sri Radha, rather than the supreme worshipable object, Radhika Nath, Krishna. If we can see the beauty of Radharani's toenails in our spiritual master's lotus feet, we will no longer think about where to find her. If we are fortunate enough, we can attain service to and darshan of our spiritual master's feet, because he is non-different from Sri Radha and very dear to her. But this does not exclude Balaram Nityananda Tattva, and this is important. To the contrary, Srila Saraswati Thakur tells us in the same article that all major forms of Shaktiman, the source, and Shakti, the energy, are included. He elaborates by saying, the Balaram's position as spiritual master, as servitor Godhead, is manifest to its highest degree in Nityananda Prabhu, crystallized in his ultimate act of mercy to Jagai and Madai. The two brothers virtually defined sinfulness and atheism among the townspeople of Navadip. Still, they eventually became great devotees by Nityananda's grace. Srila Prabhupada, through his books, his example, and his movement, offers this same opportunity to the rest of humanity, thus representing the essence of Balaram and Nityananda Prabhu. But Srila Saraswati Thakur reveals an inner meaning as well. Sri Nityananda is considered non-different from his Shakti, Janava Thakurani, and it is she who represents Guru for practitioners in Madhurya Rasa, or the most confidential form of conjugal love in the Gaudiya tradition. The special dispensation that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. By Nityananda Prabhu's causeless mercy, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta tells us one attains Janava's shelter and thereby the shelter of Vananga Manjari, the younger sister of Sri Radhika, Janava's incarnation in Krishna Lila. She is thus representative of Sri Radha, the ultimate in Guru Tattva. Are you hearing me okay, Sri Chaitanya?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, good. Okay, I didn't realize this was as long as it is, but anyway, we will continue on. Srila Prabhupada represents all of these personalities for his disciples and his disciples' disciples, and for everyone forevermore, for without his divine grace, who would have access to them or the mercy they so enthusiastically bestow? For us then, Srila Prabhupada is Krishna Balaram, Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, Janava, Ananga Manjari, Radha, Tattva, all rolled into one. Not in some ontological, impersonal abstraction, but as a tangible representative who can deliver them to us through his teachings and example. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. But to achieve this, we have to be good disciples, faithful to the parampara, and this is where Vyasa Puja comes in. Since Vyasa Puja means honouring the entire disciplic line, including the divinities at its helm, by honouring Srila Prabhupada. In Sanskrit, there are two terms, Vidvad Rudhi and Avidvad Rudhi, referring to disciples who are, in fact, real disciples, as opposed to those who are such in name only, respectively. From our Gaudiya teachings, we learn that these two kinds of disciples correspond to two kinds of Diksha initiation, Anushtaniki Bharavahi and Vidvad Rudhi Saragrahi. Anushtaniki refers to the external formality of a fire yajna and the giving of Diksha mantras. Of course, the ceremony is essential, but it is not complete without Vidvad Rudhi. It is called Vidvad Rudhi Diksha when we embrace the Guru's mood while serving his mission with deep love and affection. This is what Prabhupada wanted of us. And to take part in this is the ultimate Vyasa Puja offering. Pancharatriki Diksha, or the external ceremony, is no doubt necessary, and it can even inspire one to embrace a higher conception in due course. This is why Rupa Goswami includes it as being among the first of his 64 items of bhajan. Guru Pad Asrayas Tasmat Krishna Dikshadi Sikshanam Visrambena Guru Seva, as per Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.274. But formal initiation is not what Diksha is all about. Srila Prabhupada famously called it a formality. Real Diksha is characterized by heartfelt surrender and a service mood that is uncompromising, as in Balaram Nityananda Tattva. This is alluded to in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 15, text 108. One does not have to undergo initiation or execute the activities required before initiation. One simply has to vibrate the holy name with his lips. Thus, even a man in the lowest class, Chandala, can be delivered. Diksha Purascharya Vidi, Apekshana Kari, Jiva Spashe, Achandala Sabare Udhare. In the purport, after giving much evidence for the importance of initiation, Srila Prabhupada writes, in other words, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so powerful that it does not depend on official initiation. But if one is initiated and engages in Pancharatra Vidhi, daily worship, his Krishna consciousness will awaken very soon, and his identification with the material world will be vanquished. This all points in the direction of real initiation, Vidvad Rudhi. If we can simply learn to hear the holy name properly, to chant it sincerely, and to dedicate our lives to Srila Prabhupada's mission, serving Krishna as his divine grace revealed him to us, we can then fully realize the purport of actual Vidvad Rudhi initiation, becoming true disciples. In other words, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so powerful that it does not depend on official initiation, as mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. nor does it depend on some esoteric initiation. It simply depends on giving our lives fully and without reservation. Not just an exam. It simply depends on giving our lives fully and without reservation to Srila Prabhupada or his genuine representatives. That is real initiation. That is what it means to come into cyclic succession. And that is what Vyasa Puja is meant to convey. So keep this parampara system, Prabhupada says. This Vyasa Puja is parampara system. Vyasa Puja means to accept this parampara system. Vyasa, Guru, is the representative of Vyasadeva because he does not change anything. This is a quotation from Srila Prabhupada. What Vyasadeva said, your Guru also will say the same thing. Not that so many hundreds of thousands of years have passed away, therefore I'll give you a new formula. No, there is no new formula. The same Vyasa Puja, the same philosophy, simply we have to accept it, then our life will be successful. Satyaraj Das, author, founding editor, Journal of Vaishnava Studies, associate editor, Back to Godhead magazine. Sri Vyasa Puja Ki Jai. Okay, that's pretty amazing. A little long, but still a very inspiring description of the meaning of Vyasa Puja. Okay, rightio. So now, I'd like to, Sri Chaitanya, are you abreast of who's actually in the call at the moment?
Yes.
Is Narahari or Gyana Samudra or Prabhav, are they present?
Narahari Prabhu is there.
Narahari. Narahari Prabhu.
Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We'd like to call on you to speak, please.
Okay. Pranam Namah Shivaya Krishna Prastapatili Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Well, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Before I speak, I'd just like to add that my good wife, Gokul Rani, couldn't be here today, so she's asked me to mention her, and I include her in the offering that I'm about to give. I was reflecting recently on the void that lives within us. People often talk about nature abhors a void or a vacuum. Things fill up. So within each and every one of us, from my experience and people I've met, this is noticeable. Growing up, our birth and our development of attachments through the course, trying to fill the void. Prabhupada gave us the understanding that our demands, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, they're always there. And we basically, particularly in Western civilization, more or less taken care of those demands. Certainly we can eat. We all have comfortable places to sleep. We're defended by, I suppose, amongst other things, wealth and government. And it also provides us with a facility to defend ourselves. So we can safely say that we're gratified. Our gratification has been met. But unfortunately, we often have a sense of emptiness or a void. And that becomes because something is lacking. There's a hole there. And Srila Prabhupada, out of his kindness and out of his sense of duty to his own spiritual master and his own lineage, has enabled us to fill that void with something very ecstatic, love of Krishna. And it comes in what form? It comes in the form of delicious prasadam, gorgeous deity worship, association with other like-minded devotees, places of pilgrimage one can visit, so we're very grateful. I think on Vyasa Puja we can demonstrate that we're a little grateful to Srila Prabhupada for giving us these bounties, these beautiful gifts, which otherwise we'd be filling the void with all kinds of other things. Be filling it with food and intoxication and trying to aspire to, more status symbols, such as bigger houses and faster cars, or, recognition. Everybody these days has a resume, all the things they've done, and they offer that resume to others to say, look what I've done, look who I am, I'm so educated, I'm so skilled, I'm so capable. Some of us devotees, however, though, if we were ever asked to fill up a resume, it might be a little difficult. What have you done? Well, I've made an endeavor to serve Lord Krishna. So in one sense, people may say that's not too much. But we know that this is the greatest thing we could have done, the greatest opportunity we've given. And to one degree or another, everybody's fulfilled that. Everybody could always do more, surrender more, serve more, think of Krishna more. But we also have to be encouraged that any small amount of service, any positive feelings toward Lord Krishna and his service are going to be very beneficial. At the moment, due to our condition, material nature, we're all cut off from one another. And if we see the newspaper on the television, people are dying. Mostly in old age anyway, which is something that we can expect. So we can draw comfort from the fact that we filled our lives to some degree or another with Krishna and Prabhupada, and we can say that our lives have been successful. So that success is brought to us by Srila Prabhupada alone, and it's really been nothing of our doing. He was able to convince us, captivate us, engage us in Krishna's service. So I'd like to show my appreciation and gratitude to Srila Prabhupada on this day, and hopefully increase my sadhana and my appreciation and respect for such a great Acharya who appeared amongst us. Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai.
Ki Jai. Thanks, Hare Prabhu.
Yeah, well, pleasure to speak. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, I've got an offering here from Shastra. Unfortunately, Shastra is working today, so not able to be here with us. Vyasa Puja 2020. Our memories but a future. Shastra Chakshustas. We gather around the globe for the glory of this day, our day to remember those fond stories of your stay. Even all your youthful family exchanges that prelude your campaign before fully emphasizing your renunciation and travelling beyond that domain. And this was at those weary later years, for you were the seer. Now even we, as your disciples in our golden years, see how vitality can disappear. Yet, you ventured from the ideal of Vrindavan to New York City with its scary oppression in all types of criminal activities of pity. Your arrival there, Srila Prabhupada, began a loving revolution. Your presence ignited people power together. They started dancing in evolution. You stirred the country up. From there, news spread in a global start as your gifts of the Gita and Bhagavatam reached further into many a heart. Even with ailments you travelled. I remember when you came to London fearlessly, elevated spiritually, and even with a palanquin to rise and travel more freely. Janmashtami and Vyasa Puja 77. These festivals came together with godly association, godbrothers, sisters, relatives, graciously descending, birthed for this salutation. All those treasures that you gave changed the world. Like a love virus, Bhakti Yoga lifted people from their underworld. Beyond other lives and eras of time, their divine imprint thus proceeding. With the gift of this, the greatest of mantras, its meditation thus succeeding. Mantra meditation, a means for neuroplasticity, take place. The ability of the brain to optimize by its neural network's grace, to thus reduce stress and improve mental health and well-being, to increase optimism, positivity, that knowing of one's inner overseeing. This meditation, as with bhakti, the highest in the yoga grade, this Mahamantra enabling one to go into the sanctum's holy accolade, hearing the holy names as endless waves of beauty in repetition. Prabhupada, your gift to the world, to take all into the Mahamantra's lotus position. Now we, at this time, have restricted gatherings without a solution. Still, we are linked in honouring your divine contribution. This virus, a sign of these times that they are failing. Is this a key? In this momentous time, that opportunity for divine change, one that you could see. The old order of exploitation, is it rising into being purged, offering a new order where we can come together for all good to emerge? Astrologically, this year is noted with all planets going retrograde to clear, be it the old materialism that must make way for the new frontier to appear. Srila Prabhupada, I see you as never the person searching. You are the giver of gifts, moving forward with your ISKCON rising, surging, with ageless Vedic wisdom that now be of benefit to the whole. Your constant global travelling was there to uplift so many a soul. Giving was your role and mission. Thus it was our pleasure to be serving you, our magnet of transition, to be thus connected beyond time, for all then to correspond, to witness ISKCON growing as that worldwide network into the beyond. Your legacy, a worldwide society that ever lives on. Prabhupada, ever back to India, dreams rising like the flight of a swan. Temples of mammoth proportion, now pilgrim sites in so many sacred places, building connections, opening up avenues, rising from divine birthplaces. Your ISKCON, ever on with the forecast. People now are looking for more. What might this society have as an offering from you as mentor? The higher lifestyle, vegetarianism, that future lifestyle having animal care and honouring others, their divine within, that meditation and chanting as thy ever prayer. Whoa. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Whoa. A very nice poem from Shastra Chakshus Prabhu. Okay, has Prabhav arrived? No? What about Gyana?
No, Prabhuji.
No. Okay, let's go to who stands out above all others here? I thought I saw Bhakta in the list. Is he gone? There's okay, Bhakta. I can see you there. That was a great offering from Shastra, wasn't it?
That was amazing, actually.
Yeah, really good. He's always a surprise, isn't he?
He's very intelligent. Just amazing. He must have taken so much time to research that, you know. It's just really incredible.
Yeah. Okay, over to you, Bhaktaji. Thank you.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vasudaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pacharani Nevasisa Shrindavani Paschachade Shatarani. Dear Srila Prabhupada, my actual feelings at this time in my life is one of extreme gratitude. First and foremost to you, Srila Prabhupada. If it wasn't for you, I would still be floundering, trying to figure out what life is all about. After 42 years, I still have so many questions, but the bulk of questions were answered by you over the years, and you continue to fill me with realizations as I read your wonderful transcendental literature over and over and over again. I'm grateful to be part of an active and vibrant international spiritual movement that is bringing real knowledge and peace to the world. I'm grateful for all the wonderful friends that I've made over the years in Krishna consciousness movement, especially my best friend and life partner, Bhaktivedanta. I'm so very grateful for my spiritual mentor and the other mentors, each and every one of them a spark of your transcendental self. I'm also grateful for all the service that I've had over these years. Srila Prabhupada, finally, I'm grateful for the fact that you are now, I'm grateful for the fact, as I'm getting a little older and slower, allowing me to use the talents that the Lord has given me, however meager that may be, to attempt to create a painting exhibition depicting the message of Bhagavad Gita, as it is, that you have so clearly and honestly presented to the world. Srila Prabhupada, please bless me that I may do your spiritual, outstanding spiritual work justice in my representation, and present it to a broader community wherever I can and preach this philosophy in that way. In every way, I'm not really worthy of such good fortune that I've had over the years, and yet I'm grateful that you still pick me up to live this life as a Hare Krishna conscious devotee. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, your ever servant, Bhaktidas.
Hare Krishna. Thanks, Bhakta. Bhakti. When you've got Bhakti.
Bhakti's a little
Is
sick.
there Bhakti?
No, Bhakti's got sore legs and she's unfortunately a bit sick today.
All right, okay. No, I just noticed her name's there. Okay, Rasanandini. You're next.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you to all the previous speakers. It's a privilege to hear your words. So I'm going to do a read through. I've written a 3-minute script. Please hold on. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Gudale Śrīmati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvasesha Sanivari Paskatya Deshatarine. So today we're meeting to glorify Srila Prabhupada's mood and mission and rededicate ourselves to his teachings. And we recognize that Srila Prabhupada's teachings are the same as those of the original Guru, Srila Vyasadeva. Srila Vyasadeva was the 17th incarnation of Krishna. Of course, he wrote Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Srila Prabhupada explains, Guru is one. What 5,000 years ago Vyasadeva instructed, or Krishna instructed, the same thing we are also instructing. Therefore, there is no difference between instructions. Therefore, Guru is one. Although hundreds and thousands of acharyas have come and gone, the message is one. That's from 1973 lecture in London. So personally, my mind goes back 46 years. I tried to ask Srila Prabhupada how to transcend death. As he left the St. Kilda temple, he was followed by a crowd of devotees ecstatically chanting. Srila Prabhupada stopped and looked into my eyes. Meeting Srila Prabhupada's gaze felt like diving into 2 black pools of bottomless compassion. The question I never managed to make heard above the waves of Kirtan is answered in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Quote, Unless human society accepts the dust of the lotus feet of the great Mahatmas, devotees who have nothing to do with material possessions, mankind cannot turn its attention to the lotus feet of Krishna. Those lotus feet vanquish all the unwanted, miserable conditions of material life. That's Prahlad Maharaj speaking to his father. Srila Prabhupada further writes, in the 22nd chapter of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes the process of devotional service to Sanatana Goswami. The fact is that devotional service is bestowed by the blessings of a pure devotee, Sa Mahatma Sudulavaha. A pure devotee is the supreme transcendentalist, and one has to receive his mercy for one's dormant Krishna consciousness to be awakened. One has to associate with pure devotees. If one has firm faith in the words of a great soul, pure devotional service will awaken. So the key verse to my experience of meeting Srila Prabhupada is, of course, Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastre Koi, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoi. The verdict of all revealed scriptures is that even by a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain all success. That's from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Where can we meet Srila Prabhupada today? Where can we attain all success in his association? He says, I will always be with you through my books and my orders, and I always remain with you in that way. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. For some reason, I've gone blurry, but anyway, still here. I just noticed that Gyana arrived. Welcome, Gyana. Would you like to speak? Or would you like to just get comfortable?
You have to unmute Ghana, Prabhu.
Yeah, I'll do it.
There we go.
Yeah, that's
okay. Justin.
welcome, Ghana.
Thank you very much. Maybe I can hear a little bit more of what's going on. You know, I'm sorry I'm a little late.
Right. Yep, sure, no worries. Hare well, Polly.
Hare Bal,
Hare Krishna, welcome.
you're blurry.
Yeah, I know. I was fine before, but anyway, I'm not going to muck around with it just in case I break everything. Okay. Now, I think Mahatma's not here, is he? I didn't see him. Hare Krishna, I think you're next on the list.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Krishna, welcome.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for arranging this opportunity and for glorifying Srila Prabhupada. So I'll just read out a small offering. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Yes, Srila Prabhupada, please accept our respectful and humble obeisances at your lotus feet. All glories to your divine grace. All glories to your wonderful ISKCON movement. On this wonderful day of your divine appearance, grand disciples of yours would like to offer this humble offering. Even though we cannot fathom the depth of your wonderful qualities and unlimited compassion you have for the living entities. Your divine grace attracts everyone towards you and to Lord Sri Krishna, irrespective of their nationality, religious faith, and cultural backgrounds. Due to your unlimited compassion for the living entities, especially the Kali Yuga citizens, even at the advanced age also, you decided to leave Sri Vrindavan Dham and come to New York on the order of your Guru Maharaj to give Lord Sri Krishna to everyone. You built such a wonderful house, ISKCON, where all the like-minded devotees can come and worship the Lord, read and listen the wonderful literature, take Krishna Prasadam, and associate with devotees. You made such a wonderful contribution of translating and providing your devotional ecstatic purports for Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita, and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, so any sincere seeker can read your books and get full benefit of your association and perfect their life. You made a wonderful concept of congregation of devotees, Namahata, so that anyone from any walk of life can become Krishna conscious. On this holy day of your appearance, let us pray to you. Please keep us under your shelter and please engage us some instrument in your mission of spreading Krishna consciousness. Please give us the intelligence to understand your mood and urgency of preaching and spreading the message of Lord Sri Chaitanya without false ego and without any hidden agenda. Please give us the strength so that we may remain loyal to you, ISKCON, and your sincere followers. Thanks a lot, Srila Prabhupada, for giving us the wonderful opportunity of Krishna conscious life and association of devotees. Aspiring to be your servant, Srila Karunanidhi Krishnadas, Raja Lalita Devi Dasi, and family. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Right.
Thank you, Karunanidhi.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prana. Pranaji, are you there?
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Over to you, Prana.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just get up my offering. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivesesha Sunyavari Paschatya Deshatadine. My offering is entitled A Touchstone of Mercy. When Krishna was pleased by Lord Brahma's austerities, he smiled and shook his hand. In your commentary to this verse of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, you liberally declare that, quote, anyone, however, preaching the mission of the Lord in the line of the Brahma Sampradaya is always dear to the Lord, and the Lord being satisfied with such a preacher of the authorized bhakti cult, shakes hands with him in great satisfaction. In the 10th canto, we hear how Krishna embraced his dear school friend Sudama, Bahubhyam Parirambitaha, and relieved him of poverty and any trace of material contamination. In the 7th canto, Prahlad received the touch of Lord Nrsimhadev on his head, Kadaspasha Uta Kalashi Shubhaha, completely freeing him from material contamination and desires as if he had been thoroughly cleansed. In the 10th canto, Vidyadhara, the snake, had all his sinful reactions destroyed by the touch of the Lord's lotus feet, Padascha Hatashubhaha. And in the 4th canto, Dhruva Maharaj, unable to offer adequate glorification to the Lord, was touched by the Lord's conch shell, becoming transcendently inspired. In your purport, you explain that, quote, this transcendental inspiration is called Brahma Maya because when one is thus inspired, the sound he produces exactly corresponds to the sound vibration of the Vedas. Finally, Prithu Maharaj describes a subtle form of touch, the touch of the sound vibration coming from the mouth of a pure devotee. You explain its subtleties. The voice of a pure devotee is very powerful because it touches the saffron dust particles on the lotus feet of the Lord. As soon as a sleeping living entity hears the powerful voice emanating from the mouth of a pure devotee, he immediately remembers his eternal relationship with the Lord, although up until that moment he had forgotten everything. Your words have touched the hearts of millions of conditioned souls and will continue to do so unlimitedly. Please let the shower of the saffron dust particles coming from the feet of the Lord remain ever fresh in our lives, so that we might one day become cleansed and in turn shower your mercy on whomever we meet. Inspiring servant Pranadas. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hare Krishna. Thanks, Prana.
Thanks, Prana.
Welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so we have got, has Mahatma? No.
Maybe Ghana is ready now, Prabhu.
Yeah. You ready, Ghana?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, fantastic.
All right.
You're Bash.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharne Nivasesha Srinivari Paskicharyas Tarne. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept our humble obeisances on the auspicious day of your appearance. We are naturally reminded of how much our life has been saved by your merciful glance upon us and how we're depending on your guidance for our ongoing out of the grips of Maya. You are our guide and savior. You are our living light, shining in the darkness of ignorance. You are our well-wisher. You are the purest of the pure. You are Dharma personified. You are the most charitable and the most magnanimous. The conclusion of the teachings of the great sages of all times is flowing through your mouth as an endless river of nectar. The shade of your lotus feet is the most refreshing. The mission you invested your movement with is the burden of love we wish to carry on our heads life after life. Cooperation with your devotees is our first regulation. Pleasing you by preaching Lord Gauranga's message is our only solace. Without your shelter, we are utterly lost. Please keep us engaged in your loving service. Please give us the strength to sustain our determination. And please accept us as your eternal servants. We are yours forever. Please have mercy and bless us with unalloyed devotion. Your unworthy servant, Gyana Samudra. Hi, family.
Very well.
Okay. I noticed Madhu Manjari just joined. Are you ready to present, Madhu?
Prabhupada is cooking. So
You'll have to unmute yourself there.
Prabhu, I just saw Prabhupada sends his apologies. He's cooking.
Okay. Madhu? Microphone doesn't appear to be working. Okay, Gopa Vrindesh.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Can
Krishna.
you hear?
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. I'm here in the ashram with all other devotees.
Who's there with you?
With me, Keshari Prabhu, Dijabidambar Prabhu, Vivek Prabhu, Parambrahma Prabhu, and Arjun Sagar Prabhu just left from here. So, few of us here.
Okay, good. We might mix it around a little bit, but we'll try to get everybody participating. Yeah, good.
Sure, thank you. Om Jnanatimirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. Thank you for this opportunity to glorify Srila Prabhupada. Yesterday was Sri Krishna Janmashtami, and I was quite busy with deity services because there weren't so many devotees. And I was reflecting on Srila Prabhupada and ISKCON as the spiritual movement. So the first thought that came to my mind was how the spreading of Sri Krishna Sankirtan is a cosmic event. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to spread Yuga Dharma, and that was one of his main missions. Of course, there are other missions as well, his internal reasons for his appearance. However, in his external reasons, the primary one is spreading the Yuga Dharma. And such an appearance of Lord Chaitanya is considered very, very rare. Only once in a day of Brahma. Such a rare occurrence. Now, when we consider such a rare occurrence of spreading Sankirtan movement, Srila Prabhupada is representing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Srila Prabhupada himself writes in the 10th canto of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam in regard to the appearance of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya, appearance of Lord Krishna, that ISKCON is just like the womb of Mother Devaki, from which Krishna appears. So being in ISKCON and serving in ISKCON is one of the rarest and one of the greatest privilege and opportunity. So this is the cosmic perspective of our movement and Lord Chaitanya. And of course, Srila Prabhupada brought forth this movement and helped all of us to know something about Krishna and to grow in Krishna consciousness. So I thank very much Srila Prabhupada for giving his shelter through his books, through his devotees, through the temple, through my spiritual master, through all other devotees, and above all, give me a purpose in my life. Currently, when we see the situation, I was thinking about this very much, that now the pandemic is going on. It has its primary effects because of the disease, because of the health, death, etc. But on the other side, in terms of the mental impact of this pandemic is very enormous. People are having problems with so much of increased issues with the isolation, loneliness, increased mental issues, domestic violence, anxiety, insecurity, so many. And at this point, when I speak to the devotees, I find out that devotees are better off compared to other people. So we can see even in the one of the difficult situation to the whole world, how Srila Prabhupada's teachings are working. It's a very practical demonstration and proof of effectiveness of Krishna consciousness movement. Now, we heard from you, Srila Prabhupada, that the world will know ISKCON for saving it in its darkest hour. I'm sure that hour hasn't come yet, but it will come. Kali Yuga has not unfolded yet completely. There are more things to happen. And I was thinking, and of course, this movement has to go on for next 10,000 years, saving the humanity. Then what is the role of an individual to play, to take part in this mission. Because it's a huge responsibility as a mission, and the individuals will have to play their own role. So what is the responsibility? What we have to act now so that the movement can go on and the movement can save the world in its darkest hour. So I was thinking about it. Of course, I don't have an answer. I was praying, what can I do in my humble capacity to serve your mission? I pray for your shelter, for your guidance, and for your service. Praying at your lotus feet, your humble servant, Gopurandesh Das. Hare Krishna.
Bye, Gopurandesh.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Gopa. Now, is Madhu still there? Madhu, have you got your microphone working? Seems not. Oh, there we are. I can see you. I can't hear you.
I can hear it in the background.
If your microphone, you're probably going to need to, oh, hang on. Might need to turn up your levels so that the microphone's coming through. Okay, let's move on. Now, what about one of the other brahmacharis?
Hare Krishna. Nrikeshwari Prabhu has an offering ready.
Yep, put him on.
Yeah. Prabhu, you sit here. No. I'll turn on the screen. Yeah, that's fine. Just read it. You have written everything. Sit here.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for allowing me to speak something on this very auspicious day. Namo Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Devini Vishesha Shunyavadi Pashyate Dejatarine. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances unto your lotus feet. I'm not very advanced in bhakti, neither I'm a very eloquent speaker, yet being completely indebted to you, I will try to speak something for your glorification on this most auspicious occasion of your Vyasa Puja. Dear Srila Prabhupada, even though I never met you in person, you changed my life from beginning to end. When you started the Hare Krishna movement in the West, you were preaching in a small storefront on 2nd Avenue entitled Matchless Gifts. I was always thinking how befitting it is that Krishna arranged for such a storefront to become the first ISKCON temple in the world. What you gave to the hippies at 2nd Avenue, that what you later gave to the whole world, and that little Krishna consciousness that you also give to me, for that there's no comparison in the world. The name of the storefront was very befitting because it is a matchless gift. I heard so much about your life from Satsvarupa Goswami in his Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, or in Muchukunda Goswami, Miracle at 2nd Avenue, or from Yogeshwara Prabhu, or Shyama Sundar Prabhu. It appears that there is no end to the nectar of your glorious pastimes. I can't conceive how vigorously you are preaching Krishna consciousness all over the world, every day and every night without any break. I mean, once in a while you would take rest for a week in Hawaii or weekend in a peaceful estate in Nairobi, but even then your days were completely filled with Krishna consciousness. You were setting the example of being 100% Krishna conscious, following in the footsteps of your own spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and the 6 Goswamis. You boldly preached the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught, Yade Dekatare Kaha Krishna Upadesha, Amara Agyara Guru Hana Tara Edesha. instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Sri Krishna as they're given in Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. I can't wait until the whole world becomes Krishna conscious by the strength of your Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and your Bhaktivedanta purports. In your prana mantra, we say, Namo Vishnu Padaya. I offer my obeisances unto him who has taken shelter at Krishna's lotus feet, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, who is very dear to Lord Krishna. I was contemplating what makes you so dear to Krishna. And it is because you share the mood of Lord Chaitanya, the mood of Radharani, of giving Krishna consciousness to everyone without consideration. You don't see who is fit and who is unfit to take the medicine of the Hare Krishna mantra. You don't see who is fit or unfit to understand Krishna. If any person has just a spark of good qualities, you see them as the all in all and you fan them until even a bad, unhealthy, unclean, selfish person like a rascal can become a devotee. Originally, all living entities are pure, but when we forget Krishna, our dormant love for God that turns into desire to lord it over material nature. We get covered by Maya. We accept material bodies after bodies and accept that which is not for truth, continuously degrading ourselves and forgetting our original pure consciousness. To pick up all the souls from this unnatural position, Lord Sri Krishna descends once in the day of Brahma, not only to protect the pious, not only to deliver the miscreants, but foremost to attract the conditioned souls back home, back to Godhead. How? By displaying his pastimes in the earthly Gokul. The Lord is not different from his name, form, qualities, and pastimes, and thus simply by hearing those pastimes as recorded in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, we can get attracted and uncover again our dormant love for Krishna. Unfortunately, these recordings of the ancient history, as well as the Hare Krishna mantra, became temporarily covered and became an exclusive possession of caste-conscious brahmanas who did not understand its depth and confidential meaning. Thus Krishna came back just 500 years ago as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to again open the storehouse of ecstatic love for Krishna and distribute it widely. Later, Bhaktivedanta Thakur and your own spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, assisted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission in reviving the seemingly lost Krishna consciousness movement all over India. But only you could completely satisfy Krishna's desire by carrying this message all over the world. This is why we say in the second half of your prana mantra, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dejatarine. Our respectful obeisances unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami, because you are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya and delivering the Western countries which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. Thus, you are accomplishing the last desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by delivering not only India, but the whole world from the clutches of Nirvishesha, impersonalism, and Shunyavadi voidism, and flooding the whole world with ecstatic love for Krishna. Please help me to become qualified to assist you in a mission. I'm for endeavor indebted to you, your servant, Nrikeshwari Das.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Nrikeshwari. Manmohan?
You can sit, please. Please.
Manmohan,
Hare
I
Krishna.
can see. Hare Krishna. Manmohan, did you want us to play the video?
Playing the video. I don't know whether we can do it here. I have to share it or?
I've got it. I can share my screen and I can play it. Is that what you want?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. My name is Manamohana Das, resident monk in Hare Krishna, Melbourne. What is Hare Krishna Food for Life? Let me tell you about the mission statement. To bring peace and prosperity in the world by liberal distribution of sanctified vegetarian meal prepared with love and devotion. Our founder and teacher, Srila Prabhupada, always encouraged us in mass distribution of these meals. Once he said, you should see that no one within 10-mile radius of any Hare Krishna center should ever go hungry. Up and until COVID pandemic, at the local Hare Krishna Food for Life, under the guidance of our director Untitled Prabhu, we could able to distribute thousands of meals. But for everyone's safety, we paused this operation at the onset of stage 3 lockdown. We want to help people, so we approached the council and got permission for contactless delivery. You heard it right, we're delivering these free meals at contactless delivery. How does it work? Very simple. We have dedicated a SMS line for this. We receive an SMS from people who need this meal. Once we receive the SMS, we have our in-house chefs who cook delicious meal and vegetarian meal to these people. We neatly pack with the help of our volunteer and we give it to our drivers. They deliver this meal at their place. Once they receive the meal, we also send a notification as an SMS to their mobile. So that way they can enjoy this meal. So far, we have distributed 6,800 meals in last 115 days. We are covering 50 kilometers every day by 4 delivery drivers. This is only happening in Port Phillip Council. So far, 120 people have benefited and 80 meal average every day. Thank you.
That's great. Really good. Great.
Yeah, wow. That was pretty far out, wasn't it? Okay, did you want to say anything more, Mamohan?
No, Prabhu, that video, and I feel we are all one family and trying to please Prabhupada. And time and again, that we show in the festival, in the gathering, in decorating, whatever service. That's, I think, I pray Srila Prabhupada that we work together in his pleasing his different projects or whatever it comes in our line. And also, I pray, I'm very grateful and a very good emotional feeling I have at the moment because of yesterday festival and today, even though most of the devotees couldn't able to personally be here, but still there was a lot of viewing on online and a lot of we can feel that everyone is connected as a community. So that's Srila Prabhupada's blessing. And I grateful to all the devotees, all the volunteers, all the people. And I'm grateful to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mamohan. That's a great presentation. Okay. Now, let's just have a quick look. as Jagannath Ram. Where is she here? No. Can we call on you to give us your realizations? Priti, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, over to you.
Thank you. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. I first of all want to thank Sri Chaitanya Prabhu and Anirudh Prabhu for setting this meeting up. Without this, it would not have been possible for all of us to get together. I know both of you and a few others have been working for the last few days to put this meeting together. And you've given us the opportunity to meditate on Srila Prabhupada. And by meditating on Srila Prabhupada, just by doing that, we are able to get his blessings and we are able to purify ourselves. So on this great auspicious occasion of the Parents' Day of our dear Srila Prabhupada, I actually feel I am lacking the words to appreciate and glorify him, because his glories are so great that words can't actually express them. The more I delve deeper into his life and his activities and into his mood and consciousness, the more I become bewildered. How did he do those Herculean tasks? Where did he get that immense determination to go on in spite of so many hardships? And not just that, he was able to motivate others as well to do the same. His followers have given us this great movement, and he was able to inspire them to do so. In July 1975, in LA, when Rameshwara Prabhu and Radhavalla Prabhu were working very hard to print books, they were following Srila Prabhupada's instructions, who wanted 17 books printed in just 2 months. And these devotees were barely eating 1 meal a day, and they were waking up for Mangalarti. They were chanting their rounds in the morning, and then after that, the whole day till late in the night, they were just working to fulfill Srila Prabhupada's desire. When I reflect on these activities of Srila Prabhupada and his followers, I feel very humbled and so insignificant in what I do for the Hare Krishna movement. But however, I have full faith in Prabhupada's compassion, and I know that for a little service that anyone renders to him, he very generously reciprocates with them. In a class, there are many students, but not everyone has the same caliber. But an intelligent teacher can use discretion and can tell who needs to be treated in what manner. So a teacher would usually put a lazy and an insincere student in the front row, and so that he can engage them better, and let the others be at the back seat. Srila Prabhupada, please treat me like that insincere student who needs constant attention, and keep me engaged in different services, because without that I will be lost into oblivion. I have suffered enough for unlimited lifetimes in the hands of Maya, and yet the mind is so flickering that it keeps becoming distracted again and again. On this special appearance day of yours, I really don't know what to ask of you, but just one thing that I'm sure I must, and that is that you please never abandon me, in spite of my rascal mind. And even though I disappoint you in many ways, please always give me shelter at your lotus feet by keeping me in association of your devotees and engaging me in devotional service. Because without that, there is no hope for me. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Your not so humble servant, Preeti Lakshana.
Jai Preeti.
Thank you, Preeti.
Thank you.
We should point out that Preeti and also Sukadev have been flat out over the last couple of weeks. We had a very successful Janmashtami celebration at the temple yesterday. It was obviously a lot smaller, but still a lot of details, a lot of coordination, plus with all of the switching and swapping of the restrictions, plus managing all of our volunteers. Preeti and Sukadev have been very busy, so you know, and did a really good job. You know, Deities were dressed 3 times yesterday. All of the artis, the Abhishek, a lot of the puja was broadcast online. The feedback we've got so far was pretty positive. So it was, yeah, a lot of cooking, Jai Sachi and Chicharupa, Gyana Samudra, Nanda, Yogeshwar Govinda. So anyway, it was quite still quite a Prabhav. Prabhav's cooking now, actually, the Raj Bhog. So thanks to Preeti and Sukadev for helping coordinate all of those activities.
Haribol.
What I'd like to do is, if everybody who's here has got an offering, if you could raise your hands up in the top right-hand corner, or depends on which version you've got of Teams. You've got an opportunity there to raise your hand. Okay, all right, very good, very good, very good. Go for okay. Ananda Vardhana, you're at the top of the list. We're starting with the A's.
Yes, Prabhu. Let me put my headphone. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
You might need to be a little louder.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yes, Prabhu. All good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for giving us the opportunity, as well as all the assembled devotees. All humble obeisances to you. You've been serving so nicely and sincerely, doing the great service, especially all the Prabhupada's disciples who are present here. This is our great fortune that you are present and you are sincerely doing your best to carry out the mission of Prabhupada and giving us inspiration to follow in your footsteps and do something for Prabhupada as well. So let me offer my humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas, Srila Prabhupada, my spiritual master, and as well as all the devotees of ISKCON. Now, I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and through Srila Prabhupada, your devotees, your books, your services, which are acting like a torchlight of knowledge. I'm gradually coming out of this darkness, and this is indeed your causeless mercy upon me. Today is the most auspicious day, not only in my life, but in the lives of many of your disciples, students, well-wishers, and all the living entities around you. Of course, you are still present through your different potencies, through your disciples, through your books. So today is the most auspicious day of your appearance in our lives. It is only by your mercy that we have the most valuable subject in my life, that is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like the interview you gave to that TV broadcaster who asked you, in the capsule, what is the moment? And you answered, the moment is to awaken God consciousness of the human being. You went on explaining the difference between an animal and a human being. So not only you gave us the human form of life, but also you gave us clear understanding of who God is, what is the process to reach out to God, what is the purpose of reaching to God, and how to remain in that position for the rest of the eternity. You gave us the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam as it is, which is the sublime medicine to cure my heart from material contamination disease. You also gave me the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is the most easy yet sublime method of reviving my eternal occupational duty. The most important thing is that you have gifted me with the living personification of your teachings. That is my spiritual master, my Guru Mata, and many other such sincere followers. And all of them, or some of them, they are present here in the team's meetings as well, who are mercifully guiding me to increase my Krishna consciousness more and more. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for training your disciples so well that now they are distributing the mercy drops to me and to the whole world. By Srila Gurudev, your and your Radha Krishna's mercy, we are blessed by rendering some services at the temple Archana Seva, some Brahminical service we are getting, some Bhakti Shastri courses we are part of, then your Lilamrit reading. This Lilamrit reading, even though it's just a reading, but then even though we are not qualified, but then it gives us so much inspiration to even read through your Leela, that we get the sincere attitude. Bhagavad Gita as it is, discussion groups, along with many of your services. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. On this most auspicious day of your appearance, I pray at your lotus feet that I may always remember the causeless mercy that you have showered upon me, and never deviate from the following your teachings purely and follow them without any ulterior motives. Begging to remain your dog wearing the collar of your divine shelter around my neck, your lowly servant, Ananda Vardhana Das. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, all the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks, Ananda Vardhana. Bhakti Priya.
Pushpanjali is at 12:30 in the temple. It'll be live broadcasted.
Bhakti Priya, can you unmute yourself?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, yes.
Hare Krishna, hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity, for allowing to speak about Prabhupada. Thank you for this wonderful medium. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachari Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Vishatarine. Dear Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. Glories to this wonderful Krishna conscious society that you have created. Dear Srila Prabhupada, it is one of the challenging times of our lives that we're going through, the pandemic. But because of your wonderful teachings, because of the practical, the method that you showed us, that no matter what the situation that goes around, we can still remain Krishna conscious. It is a bit challenging to stay away from temple, to stay away from devotees, to stay away from services. But somehow, because of this wonderful practical application of Krishna consciousness that you have showed by your example, that you have given, that we can still maintain some level of Krishna consciousness in our life. And like rightly mentioned by some of the devotees, we can still keep calm and we not as tense as the whole world, the way everybody is going crazy. Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. Another wonderful point that I like to put forward is when we were doing our Bhakti Shastri, one of the assignments was the mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada, as he showed that how Krishna consciousness is the ultimate welfare of all living beings. Our facilitator Adipurush Prabhu rightly explained to us, and that clicked me a lot, that how Srila Prabhupada has given us this wonderful society. The whole purpose of living beings to be in this world is that because of the free will, they have misused the free will, and we are in this material world. And Krishna actually wants us to go back home, back to Godhead. And it is Prabhupada who is helping us do this by various mediums like book distribution, Sankirtan, by temple services, by worship, deity worship, and that is helping us with the ultimate welfare activity. And like also it was mentioned in the class that even all these plants, trees, cockroaches, anybody can take advantage. And that struck me really hard, that yes, Prabhupada is one of the visionaries, one of the leaders who has truly done this, which nobody else has done. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for this wonderful, wonderful movement that you have given us, and wonderful mission and wonderful model that you have given to live a perfect life. Thank you. I also like to mention Nandini Mataji, who motivated me some years back. I think it was 2016, to continue writing, and it is because of her blessings also that I continue to reflect each year what contributions Prabhupada has brought to my life, and continue to write and speak the Vyasa Puja offering. Thank you very much. Thank you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Bhakti Priya. Very nice, thank you. Okay, so Prana's got his hand up, so that must mean Chandrakoti. Is that right, Prana?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Put Chandrakoti on.
You're on.
Am I on?
Yeah.
Hi, well, Chandrakoti.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nivasesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. This year, I have been researching for a children's study of Srila Prabhupada in our Bhakti learning lessons. To make a timeline of all the places which Srila Prabhupada traveled to introduce Krishna consciousness to the fallen conditioned souls, I researched through the online Vanipedia. I scrolled up and down through the pages of the years between 1965 and 1977. It is so amazing how extensively Srila Prabhupada traveled and how many places on the planet he went to. Every month he was in different cities in different parts of the world. All the talks, lectures, preaching programs, and morning walk conversations he gave throughout those 12 years, a long list of them are transcribed and recorded into the Vanipedia. All of these hundreds and hundreds of hours were all talks on Krishna consciousness and to teach us fallen conditioned souls how to get out of this material world of suffering and go back to Krishna. So we made an online world map which marked every city that Srila Prabhupada went to and the year that he first visited that place. And there is a spotlight that blinks on each of those cities. When the map lights up, To see all those places in one view is so amazing. Srila Prabhupada was on a mission to spread Krishna consciousness to every corner of the world, and that he did with great success. My research for the children was very basic, being geared for 5 to 10-year-old children, but it was such a great meditation on you, Srila Prabhupada, and it was only the tip of the iceberg. What you achieved and established was enormous and unique. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Chandrakoti. Okay, Udavabandhu, please unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, welcome.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Bol, Mataji, how are you?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Good. Are we going to hear from both of you?
Yeah. No, Leela May is going to read. So it's a command formage.
Okay, ready to go.
Okay, Prabhuji. Dear Srila Prabhupada, Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Budale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pashyata Desha Tarine. Please accept our humble obeisances at your lotus feet. Your divine grace have come to this material world to show your mercy to millions of fallen souls and bring all of them back to the spiritual world, our original home. All the conditioned souls are immensely blessed by your divine grace appearance in this material world. With your tireless preaching, you have shown the light for the millions of conditioned souls who have lost in this material world. They are wide web of illusion and repeatedly bound by the ropes of 3 modes of material nature. Your grace have created good fortune of Ajnana Sukriti for thousands of fallen souls so that they can take up the path of Krishna consciousness and feel the bliss and happiness of devotional service. Your glories are being sung by everyone and you have achieved a unique position which no one has achieved in the day of Brahma. Your glories are even sung by the gopis in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam as Tavakatamridam Tapta Jivanam. You have tirelessly traveled all over the world and preached the glory of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message of congregational chanting and established a home where the whole world can live. As the days pass by, our appreciation for you is growing. Your preaching is so strong that they pierce anyone's heart and bring out bhakti in their heart. When we read your books, they open our eyes to understand our original position of Krishna as Krishna's servants. By your cutting words, you have uprooted the attachment to this material world. Your purports are so deep in understanding the absolute truth, Krishna, and your elegant and eloquent messages are so potent that they change the heart of anyone who come in contact with them. Your arguments against the materialists, scientists, and impersonalists are like beating their intelligence with a whip. Please continue to show your mercy so that we will not be indifferent to your instructions and follow the path of spiritual self-realization. If not for your mercy, we will be struggling in this blazing fire of material world and running after the illusory energy. By accepting us as your grand disciples, you have shown us your love and affection as our spiritual grandfather. Please continue to bless us and show your mercy to progress in our spiritual path and serve you and Krishna better. We are so fortunate to be your grand disciples, and you are a good fortune that we wish to remain under the shelter of your lotus feet. And I want to add something also, Prabhuji. In this very difficult time of the COVID pandemic, the whole world has been in great distress. So only if Srila Prabhupada prays to Sri Krishna that this COVID should be removed from this universe, then there is some hope for us. Otherwise, in every country, we can't go for pilgrimage to India, we can't go to Mayapur, we can't go to Vrindavan, we can't come to the temple and see the Lord on Janmashtami. And everything is done online and everything, but still it's like we are missing out on coming to the temple and enjoying with associating with the devotees, and we are also missing like personal preaching of Bhakti Vriksha and everything, or everything is done on Zoom and everything. So I hope Lord, on this appearance day of Srila Prabhupada, I pray to Srila Prabhupada that he prays to Sri Krishna to remove off this COVID virus from this whole of this universe. I request this specially to Srila Prabhupada. If Prabhupada prays, Krishna will definitely listen. Prabhupada will definitely, Krishna will listen. So this COVID should be removed from this world. That's my request.
Yeah. Well, it could be Krishna's arrangement, by the way.
Yes, Prabhuji. But if Prabhupada prays, then Krishna will. If Prabhupada prays that this should be removed from this earth, then Krishna will definitely listen.
Yeah. Thank you. Very nice offering. When I hear your voice and see your face, I remember your brother.
Yes,
You transported me to Mumbai there for a moment.
Yeah, yes,
And Ginger Rip was asking me this morning, when are we going to be able to go to India again?
Yeah.
So, sure. And I'm not the only one who's experiencing that, I'm sure. Okay, so thank you. Sri Chaitanya, you're at the top of the hands up list. Over to you.
Yes, Prabhuji. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desha-tarini. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Please accept my small offering on this most auspicious day of your Vyasa Puja. Small because it is not possible for my material mind to apprehend your position. But again, you cannot be glorified enough by any amount of words. Your position is unique within this world, and it is not possible for me to understand how and why you appeared to save so many miserable souls. It has been some years now that I have come to know you a bit by your lectures, purports, books, and above all, your disciples. The more I try to understand your glories, the more I wonder what caused to show your mercy upon an envious person like me. But I can only understand it to be a causeless mercy and compassion for you have towards fallen souls like me. You carry the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Goswamis, who dedicated their entire life to save conditioned souls like me. I can understand Krishna as being inconceivable only by how you accomplished spreading the Krishna consciousness throughout the world in just 12 years. I understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as being the most magnanimous only by how you gave Krishna consciousness to the most fallen people like me. I can understand Śrīmad Bhāgavatam as being literally incarnation of Supreme Lord Krishna only by your enlightened purports. I can understand the glories of Sri Vrindavan Dham only by associating with your disciples or disciplic succession and temples you created. I remember the verse from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 10th Canto 2nd Chapter 19 and I can relate it to you. It mentions Sadev ki sarva jagan nivasa bhuta nitaram nade reje bojendra gehe agni sikheva rura saraswati gnana khale yathasati. Devki kept the Lord within herself, the cause of who is the cause of all causes, the fountain of entire cosmos. But because she was under arrest in the house of Kamsa, she was like the flames of fire covered by the walls of pot. Similarly, Goswamis revealed to us Krishna, Vrindavan, and Krishna's pastime by their writings, but most of us were still bereft of that knowledge and would have never got across to it unless you accepted to appear in this miserable world. Krishna and Vrindavan are actually your gift to the world, because before you went to West, it was just like hidden jewel, like the Krishna's glories were hidden in the prison walls of Kamsa, as this is stated in this verse. It is not difficult to understand your magnanimous position within this world, and more I hear your lectures and associate with your books, the more I am able to understand your magnanimity, as otherwise, what would be any hope for a person like me? Please bless me so that I can steadily progress in my spiritual journey. Also, please bless me that my anarthas, which are many, remain subdued, and I am able to chant Krishna's holy name attentively. Lastly, I would like to thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for allowing me to be part of your glorious family and being a constant mentor and inspiration on my voyage. in this Bhavasagara, trying to be a sincere child, your servant, Sri Chaitanya Das. Thank you.
But Sri Chaitanya is already at Govardhan, so he's already achieved perfection. Hare Krishna, thank you, Sri Chaitanya. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu is here.
Okay, with the brahmacharis, huh?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, no worries. Put him on.
You can have to look at the camera. Yes. Yeah. Okay. That's it, huh? That's it.
Welcome, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vicharani Visheshan. I spoke this morning on Srila Prabhupada a little bit in the class. I just want to say a few things. That's so much to talk about Srila Prabhupada. It's just his glories are like the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. You know, we can talk so much on Srila Prabhupada. Just like any devotees, they're full of glories. And one thing, you know, comes to that during our time in the 70s, Srila Prabhupada, he was the driving force, and his glories, because of his mercy, we have our wonderful ISKCON and all the Vaishnavas by his mercy. And even though our times in the 70s and even now, sometimes this can be austerity, but actually Srila Prabhupada is, you know, when you read about Prabhupada and his glories and watch his videos, clips, and his lectures, you know, it's so inspiring. And that Srila Prabhupada, one man, in those days, you know, he had so much faith in Krishna, and just by a moment of association with pure devotee, one can be, you know, completely satisfied. So I was going to say that those days, you know, in our Hare Krishna movement, it was not like nowadays. It was quite austere. But when he met Prabhupada and when he saw him, when he would see Prabhupada, he was just inspiring. We wouldn't need anything to make us feel any better. Just by seeing him, we forget. It's just like seeing Krishna. All the miseries of life goes away. But so similarly, by seeing Prabhupada, he was a driving force for inspiration for the whole movement. And that's why even today, you know, with all his lectures and his talks and all his you know, videos that you can see, and of course his books, just by even not seeing him directly, so inspiring. So, you know, I remember in Mayapur, on Ekadashi, we didn't have any breakfast. So I used to always say, we didn't have any breakfast for Ekadashi. And I was talking to the devotees. One of the reasons because there was not enough money to feed up all the devotees in the morning. That's one of the reasons, because we're poor. But nobody actually complained, because once we met Prabhupada, everybody was totally satisfied. And just like yesterday was Janmashtami, appearance of Krishna. And Krishna, you know, in the morning, we woke up in the morning and we were thinking, you know, how I'm going to go through the whole day. You know, we have to fast the whole day. But, you know, it went, bang, the whole day was gone. And by the time you reach the middle of the day, everyone is just, you overcome all that, you know, enjoying or thoughts of ourselves. So similarly, when we see Prabhupada videos, when we associate Prabhupada, associate devotees of Krishna, we instantly satisfied. So I remember the first time I met Prabhupada in Mayapur. You know, in India, generally the Indian people, we have a lot of respect for sadhus. You know sadhus. And I met so many sadhus, and we fall at their feet. And you know, we have Jati Guru, family guru. But when I first met Prabhupada, there was hardly any Indian people around. He was all foreigners. So I thought, this is fantastic. Like he's different from everyone else because he's got all these white people around him. You know, these are like he comes to the demigod, and so I thought when I met him, and he had his head up. Prabhupada was always looking up. So everyone was saying, oh, he's looking at Krishna, and he's in connection with God. That's why he's looking up. But someone was saying, no, and I was telling this story this morning. Once there was a program in a pandal. They had a big pandal program, like we have tents, the huge pandal we can fit in at 100,000 people. and went to this program, and Prabhupada came to attend the program there. And Prabhupada came with Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Javataka Maharaj, and Prabhupada sat on top of the stage, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Javataka Maharaj, they sat down on the next level down, and I mean everybody expects that Prabhupada was going to speak first, but then he said Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he asked Tamal Krishna Maharaj to speak to audience. There's 100,000 people waiting, all the Indians in the villages. And he started speaking, and then Prabhupada was there, and he asked Javataka Maharaj to translate. And so it was, and Javataka Maharaj, I don't know how he was saying his translation was that good those days. He spoke Bengali, he was kind of broken, but he was so enthusiastic because Srila Prabhupada is right behind him. And Prabhupada's chest was going up because he was so proud of his disciple, speaking the glories of Krishna in India, where it originated, the culture of bhakti in Mayapur and that area. So you can see Prabhupada is the driving force behind our Krishna consciousness. Any advancement we make is because of his mercy. So Guru Krishna Prasade Bhakti Lada Beach. By the mercy of Guru, one gets the mercy of Krishna, and by the mercy of Krishna, one gets the mercy of Guru. So it's a link between Guru and disciple and the Vaishnavas. And I see it, especially here in Melbourne Temple. Now it's locked down, we didn't have so many people, maybe because Krishna wants some intimacy amongst just around us. He also needs some, because sometimes we have to, like we all know, last year before that, and all the time, we have so many devotees. Even Krishna has to go back towards the wall, so crowded. So perhaps he needed a little bit of break, and he wants the intimacy amongst the temple devotees. And that's just my guess, but among so many other things. So Prabhupada, I feel Prabhupada's blessing, especially on this Melbourne temple, because I was just watching a video clip of Srila Prabhupada here in Melbourne temple. So, and I was visualizing, and I was staying upstairs, and Prabhupada would walk up the steps, and these are the place we're staying. So how fortunate we are, and so all the devotees of ISKCON, we should be connecting ourselves to Srila Prabhupada through service, like we always talk about. Prabhupada's maybe not here personally, but his instructions here. So definitely we can see that if we follow the instruction of Prabhupada sincerely, we actually can feel Prabhupada's presence. It's not just he's saying that. Prabhupada's here, and he's in his words. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak a little bit of Prabhupada. Like I said, there's so much to talk about, but you can touch a little bit of a glimpse of Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna.
Bye, Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry, I was on mute there. Thanks, Prabhav. Janavi Jivan. Are you there?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Oh, it's not Janavi Jivan, it's Jamuna Jivan.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. No, it is actually Janavi Jivan, but she asked.
You could have fooled me. Okay, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhuji. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pacha Akshadestarane. Jai Srila Prabhupada, please accept our humble obeisances at your lotus feet. All glories to on your divine auspicious appearance day. We are thankful and indebted to you for giving us this precious gift of being Krishna consciousness. And also we understand that we are, even though not qualified to glorify you, but we wish to express our heartfelt feelings for you with this small offering. Please forgive us for any shortcomings. You left Vrindavan to fulfill your spiritual master's desire in spreading Krishna consciousness to this world and taking the world to Vrindavan. And you are so compassionate and kind to distribute Krishna prema to the humanity. We set an example. You set an example to show us the greatest charity is to teach others how to love Krishna with love and devotion. And without Krishna conscious movement in our lives,
they would have been wasted and we would have been left like orphans. And when we read your scriptures and feel your presence, and also when we hear from your disciples, we feel as if you are actually speaking through them. And all of your disciples serve you with 100% dedication and instrumental in spreading Krishna consciousness as it is. We are not seeing you personally, but when we hear from all your disciples, we feel that we are seeing you and you have become part of the family like our loving grandfather. Please give us your blessings so that we'll be able to study your books scrutinizingly so that we'll be able to understand and apply your instructions in our spiritual journey and be able to serve you as an instrument in spreading Krishna consciousness. And also, just I would like to share a small incident. I think it's around 1995, 96, when I was back in India. I went to our local train station. So our town used to be like about 130 kilometers from Hyderabad. I went to the local train station, bought some reservation ticket or something, and I was coming back. And just outside the platform, in the parking area, I saw a van parked and with its back door open. And I was curious and I looked at it and I was really astonished to see a white body, a foreigner sitting in it with all interesting things, hanging beads and all these things. And I couldn't know what was happening. But anyway, I did buy one audio cassette from that. And then I came home and I started listening. And that was the audio cassette of Srila Prabhupada. And then some of his kirtans, his explanation of Hare Krishna mantra, and Vandeham, Shri Guru, all these prayers. And that was really amazing. And that time, there was no ISKCON in our place. But I simply used to keep listening to it. And then till 2001-2, when I came to Australia. And then luckily 2004, I was able to come to the temple. So thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for bringing me to this moment. And also thankful for Anirudh Prabhu and Melbourne devotees for providing this opportunity to serve. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This is from myself and my wife, Janavi.
What about Janavi? She going to speak?
She's a bit shy. Janavi? No, she's actually cooking for me, so I think she asked me to speak.
All right, very good. Thank you. How's Gopal and Haridev?
They are doing all right, probably. They are doing okay.
Yeah. We're missing them. We're missing them. We're missing everybody. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Priya.
Thank you.
Haribol. Priya.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Welcome.
Thank you. Am I good to go?
Yep.
Thank you. I'd like to. Okay. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschitya Deshatarine. I would like to offer my obeisances and glories to a few personalities in the life of Srila Prabhupada. So first of all, I'd like to offer all glories to Srila Gaur Mohande, the father of Srila Prabhupada. Children have all kinds of desires, and Srila Prabhupada, as a child, desired to have Ratha Yatra. Here is an instance where the father supported the child's desire, and it later on blossomed into something magnificent. All glories to the first meeting of Srila Prabhupada with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Your spiritual master clearly presented Krishna consciousness as that which is not dependent on any temporary situation. We are right now in the midst of the COVID crisis. From your spiritual master's instruction, we understand that Krishna consciousness is not dependent on the temporary COVID situation and has to go on, coronavirus or not. Scientists are busy trying to find vaccination for coronavirus. Krishna consciousness is the real medicine because it uproots the concept of disease itself. Krishna consciousness is the real medicine that will cure the snake bite of materialistic existence altogether. And spreading Krishna consciousness at this point is more urgent than the advances in finding a solution to the coronavirus vaccine. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave a mission to Srila Prabhupada to spread Krishna consciousness in the West. He also predicted that his next disciple that would cross the ocean would bring back the whole world. This shows that the words of the great exalted persons become to pass to be true eventually. If this is the case, then whatever Srila Prabhupada is saying in his purports should also prove to be true. And we have to study Srila Prabhupada's books very, very carefully and try to understand the essence of his teachings. Coronavirus. The virus's nature, I'd like to talk a bit about the virus's nature. The nature of this virus is that it undergoes continuous mutation. It changes its form continuously and attacks the organ tissues of the living entities. Just like the coronavirus attacks the physical body, there is another type of mutation. This is the type of mutation caused to the society by anarchism, atheism, secularism, and communism. The damage caused by these viruses, such as the different isms, attack the subtle body of the living entities and last for many thousands of years. The coronavirus mutation may go away after a few years' time. Changes caused to the society by the different isms is here to stay. Thereby, these subtle viruses are more dangerous than the epidemic virus. Prabhupada so kindly brought this pure message of Krishna consciousness to the West to destroy the viruses of all these different isms, so at least a few fortunate souls like us can become free of these viruses. All glories to the dust of all glories to the dust of the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the Boston Pier, where the dust of Srila Prabhupada's feet fell on the Western soil for the first time. Who can fully glorify this moment? Pure Krishna consciousness was going to be planted on Western soil for the first time, and the Krishna consciousness movement was going to take off in full volume. Just see the similarities between the virus and Srila Prabhupada's dust. The virus and the dust are both so small and almost invisible. Both made world news, but just see the potency of one over the other. One destroys and another benedicts. The dust of Srila Prabhupada benedicted the whole world with the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Due to the virus situation, funnily, we were able to appreciate more the dust of your lotus feet. Last but not the least, I would like to offer a prayer of hope. In the story of Rukmini Devi's marriage, she wrote a letter to Shri Krishna. Which she sent via the Brahmana. Once sent, there was no way of her knowing whether Krishna received it or whether Krishna will accept her as his wife. It was a waiting game. Only when she saw the Brahmana did she get the assurance that Krishna will come, and Krishna came. During the wait period, all she had to do was keep faith. I am praying, Srila Prabhupada, for all the devotees in separation. I am requesting that you kindly instill faith in them during this awaiting game, and during this waiting game, and give them faith that they will finally be reunited with Krishna. I am praying also that to all the devotees to get extra faith that Krishna is there and he's with them and we'll all be reunited soon. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Priya. Gopa, who have you got? How many more have you got there?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This is Duja Pitambar Das.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. Feel quite humbled comparison to all the other devotees' offerings, but just speak something for my own purification. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. All glories to your divine grace, all glories to your divine appearance day. Like every year, it's a great opportunity and honor to write this Vyasa Puja offering in your glorification. The meditation on what we have received through your teachings and society reaffirms our commitment to serve your mission. For the last 5 months, Melbourne has been locked down and mostly everyone is having to stay in the premises. As the time progresses, more and more people are finding it challenging to deal with this unpredicted and oppressed lifestyle. Interestingly though, many devotees seem to be quite okay and peaceful in this May. Of course, other than not being able to come to the temple or go to the dhams. Despite the physical distancing, they're still well connected with each other and also reading your books regularly, attending online temple programs, and honoring prasadam at home. Thanks to the society that you have created, which provides such a wealth of transcendental engagement, no matter in what situation we are in. Personally, since the lockdown, I've been trying to go deeper into your books and study the nectarian purports, which you call your spiritual ecstasies. Studying them in the association of other sincere devotees is an icing on the cake. You always emphasized that devotees study your books and even chastised devotees when they didn't study enough. This lockdown has definitely been a blessing for us in the Brahmacharya ashram to come together and study Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. We don't have to come up with any new realization or understanding, but we just have to try to understand what you have written and how we can apply this knowledge into our lives. We humbly seek your blessings to be able to develop deeper understanding of the knowledge which will help us transform our consciousness and preach effectively. On this auspicious occasion of your Vyasa Puja, I humbly seek your blessings so I can understand your books which you have written so painstakingly and come to appreciate the association of devotees more, aspiring to be your sincere servant, Dvija Pitambar Das.
Hare Krishna. Thanks, Dvija.
Thank you.
Anybody else there in the ashram who wants to read an offering? You're on mute.
Sorry, yeah, no, that's
it?
about all of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
we've got Alok. Is that Alok or is that somebody else? Let's see.
Hare Krishna Prabhupada from Amal Gaur Sundar Das here.
Amal Gaur Sundara, I wondered who that was. You're hiding.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Haribo, Nandini Radhika.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Nice to see you both. Okay, over to you.
Prabhu, my brother Gaurav, he writes every year homage to Srila Prabhupada but never reads. So this year I wanted to read what he has written.
Sure.
And offer it to Srila Prabhupada.
Yep.
Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. While a family man, from your Sri Guru, you got the first instruction. Spread the teachings of Sri Chaitanya. Let the world walk the path of perfection. Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your struggles in Delhi. Renounced and penniless, you wrote the BTG, traveled by foot to save a paisa, only to make for other spiritual secrets easy. Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your Vrajavas. West was on your mind. It was your dream and worry, writing all night, sleeping empty belly. Oh, how you begged pen and paper in Madhukari. Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your rooms at Sri Radha Damodar. You called them the hub of the wheel of spiritual universe, empowered by the parampara. From there you prepared to end Kali's curse. Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your word-for-word translation of what the scriptures read, a sense made available with indisputable accuracy, establishing Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your first 3 volumes of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, the Granth Avatar. The absolute truth is now print ready to travel wide and far. Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your trips, to the office of Scindia Steam Navigation, a free passage to America for a sadhu, you begged, on board Jaladuta by Krishna's invitation. Srila Prabhupada, all glories to that steel box with 200 copies of your Bhagavatam's edition, Srila Vyasa's magnum opus, extolled by Narada, authentic Parampara renedition. Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your trip through the Atlantic Ocean. Heart attacks couldn't hold you back. Your life's mission was now in motion. Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your hosts in Butler, a small mining town. You were to dig an ocean of prema, from there the world to drown. Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your early followers, the hippies of hippie land. They may be lost and drunk and drugged, but near you, oh, they have hit jackpot grand. Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the holy name, Sri Nam Prabhu. You ushered him here amongst us all, the all-attractive self-same Vibhu. Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Sri Krishna's love in Sri Radha's mood, Sri Gaura's gift in our hearts you impress. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Very nice. Thank you. Amalgura Sundra, anything else you wanted to add?
Personally speaking, Prabhu, I haven't wrote an offering, but I want to add one personal realization which I was reading through Leela Amrit and going through the current situations of pandemic and so much oppressed in the world. I was quite depressed for a couple of days, and then I was reading Leela Amrit, and when I was reading Leela Amrit, when Prabhupada approached his spiritual master, and Prabhupada said, right now, India needs independence. And the spiritual master of Prabhupada, His Holiness Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj said, nah, that's not the real urgency. So these things will keep coming. So at that time, and then Prabhupada took it seriously and Prabhupada went ahead. And later on, after when Prabhupada established ISKCON properly, Prabhupada came back to Calcutta. And then at that time, the communism was on the rise. And one of the very rich person, he approached Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, you should preach properly that the communism, this is right now, this is the main issue of the world, that communism on the rise and we are all leaving Calcutta and we are going here and there. And Prabhupada said, this is not the real issue. The real issue is something else. So after understanding all those things, I can totally understand that the real issue is not the oppressed or the coronavirus or something. The real issue is something else. So these problems will keep coming in one phase or another, as Prabhupada have taught us. So I think these problems are not the real problems of the life. The real problem of the life lies somewhere else, which we all have to dig deep into ourselves and follow Prabhupada and our spiritual masters too, so that we can focus on the real problems of the life rather than focusing on just the temporary problems like COVID cases. So that was my realization, bro. Thank you.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. I'll keep that in mind when I'm wearing my mask. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Is there anybody else who'd like to make a presentation? We've got 4 minutes or so before 12:30, which is our scheduled finish. The Pushpanjali and Guru Puja will be celebrated in the temple room and will be live on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. I've also got a slideshow that was shared with us by Bhaktivedanta Swami that I'll put on when we've finished, which is a very nice meditation. So you can choose what you would like to view. got choice. I'd like to offer my respects to Srila Prabhupada and to all of the devotees. It's been a very challenging, and we've probably got challenges more to come. The coronavirus doesn't look like it's going to go away tomorrow or even within the next few months. It's going to be an issue that we'll have to manage. The situation has brought us into a stark understanding of the temporary nature of the material world, and it's made me contemplate all of the challenges that Srila Prabhupada must have faced in his preaching. Consider a man, although we shouldn't think of Srila Prabhupada as a man, but consider his upbringing in what we might consider fairly conservative Calcutta society of the late 1800s, when Srila Prabhupada came to the US, and he was faced with a huge challenge of all of the cultural differences, and the social setting was completely different. And Prabhupada must have experienced that in every place that he went. But true to Krishna's teaching and true to his character, true to his personality, he remained dhira, or very sober and steady and stable, despite the fact that he was facing a new place, a new circumstance, a new set of people. He was able to adapt and adjust to the changes, which he, at the age of 69, generally, I'm at the age of 65, not far away from Prabhupada's 69, and I'm looking for no change. Keep everything as it is. Keep everything peaceful, steady, stable. But of course, life is not like that. And of course, Srila Prabhupada set the example for us that when it comes to preaching, or even when it comes to life itself for that matter, we're always going to be facing issues, challenges, problems, disasters, major and minor. And yet, despite the fact that Srila Prabhupada faced, more than most people's share of struggle, if you like, he remained peaceful and equipoised, and always Krishna conscious, maintained his regular program, maintained his writing, maintained his exercise, maintained his preaching. He adapted to every situation with the grace. He was a Paramahamsa, and so he faced all of these challenges with great grace and integrity, with equanimity, with faith in Krishna, and despite the challenges, pushed on. He had great faith in the order of his spiritual master. He had faith in the vision of Bhaktivedanta Thakur. He had great faith in the vision and the mission of Lord Chaitanya. And despite setbacks, because there were many, he persevered. And so we should too. And not be surprised. The material world, as Amalagura Sundara nicely pointed out, the material world is really a shabby place. There's no point in trying to make permanent solution here, because we'll never ever get it. And sort of Prabhupada inspires us by his determination, his endurance, his magnanimity, his flexibility, and his pragmatism, and his great faith in Krishna consciousness. When he was leaving New York, the devotees were lamenting that he was going away, and how could they miss his separation? And Prabhupada pointed out, well, whenever we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're all together. When he was driving in the taxi to the airport, Prabhupada was preaching to Kirtanananda and Brahmananda, and he was saying to them, we'll never be apart. So long as we're chanting Hare Krishna, we're always together. So, and that was something that inspired me when I first became a devotee. I thought, you know, if I'm chanting Hare Krishna, there's always somebody else on the planet also finishing off their rounds. So, despite the fact that we're separated, at the same time, you know, our philosophy is actually that Vipralamba Seva is the highest. Service in separation is the highest. And we're getting bucket loads of that opportunity at the moment, so we should take advantage of it and use it to enhance and advance our spiritual lives, following in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada and being inspired by his example. So thank you, everybody. Anybody like to make a comment? Put your hand up if you do. If not, I'm going to put on the slideshow, and it runs for about 20 minutes. Okay, Madhu Manjari, yes, we'd like to hear from you. I hope you've got your microphone sorted. Over to you. You'll have to unmute yourself. Yep, that's good. I can't hear anything. Can anybody else? Sri Chaitanya?
No, I can't hear.
Yeah. They got a technological challenge there. Anybody else? Final words? Bhakta? Prana?
Really nice presentation,
I can't hear you.
That was a really nice presentation. Everybody's.
Thank you. Yep, you're welcome. Thanks for attending.
Thank you, Aniruddha Prabhu, and all the devotees for looking after the Janmashtami festival yesterday. It was a really awesome festival.
Yeah, it was actually.
Actually, it was beautiful. The decoration was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that, you know, if you see that, if I move my head, you can see that you can see that decoration of that pot and everything. There was a huge rangoli on the floor too. It was beautiful, really nice.
Decoration of the deities, every single arti, every time they were dressed.
Yeah, you're a bit soft there, Bhakta. If you can come closer to the mic, perhaps.
They were just dressed, all the different deities at every time, the different artis were just absolutely amazing.
Oh. Okay, what's Priya? Priya's
She's
got.
probably putting Madhu Manjari on.
Priya, have you got Madhu Manjari there with you?
And it'll be online.
Okay, thanks, Priya. And sorry we couldn't get Madhu Manjari on board there. I'm going to share my screen. This slideshow is actually really quite nice.
Śrīrūpam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Advaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Advaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vyasa Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupam Chakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vyasa Puja Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namini Vyasa Devi Gaitaya Kripabdhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnanam Dayine Prabhave Namah Mahadhurjayujjala Pramadhyam Śrīrūpa Bhaktīdam Śrī Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Natarini Upanu Saksad Vairagam Vipranambara Shambodhe Padam Bhojaya Te Namah Namo Bhakti Vinadaya Sachidananda Namini Gaura Shakti Sarupaya Rupangam Parayate Gaurayami Bhava Bhumestam Nityasya Sajjana Priyam Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Sri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacam Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacam Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Mahabhadarnaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namini Gaunatise Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishna Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktyavataram Bhaktyakhyan Namami Bhakta Satikam Panchatattvatmakam Krishna Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktyavataram Bhaktyakhyan Namami Bhakta Satikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta शिरतौ पंगन जयतां शिरतौ पंगन मम मंदन मतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्य पदां भोजौ राधावदनं जयतां शिरतौ पंगन मम मंदन मतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्य पदां भोजं राधा विपद वृंद्यारण्य कल्पद्रुमाध श्रीमद्रत्नगार सिंहासनस्थं श्री राधा गोविंद देवं प्रक्षालीभिः श्रीकुमारं स्मरामि विद्यारण्य कल्पद्रुमाधं श्रीमद्रत्नागार सिंहासनस्थौ श्री राधा श्रील गोविंद देवं प्रस्थालीभिः स्मरामि श्रीमानरासरसारम्भी वंशीवटतटस्थितः कर्षणवेणुशनै गोपीनाथश्रेष्ठनः श्रीमानरासरसारम्भी
And it is finished. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everybody. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thanks, Sri Chaitanya, for setting things up.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
And yeah, look forward to the next event coming to you via the internet. Hare Krishna.